right, we're glad you're with us this morning. It's a classic movie from the 80s with quotes you know by heart. Here are just a few of them.
Death cannot stop true love. All it can do is delay it for a while.
Is this a kissing book?
Have you ever heard of Plato, Aristotle, Socrates?
Yes?
Morons.
As You Wish. 30 years later, the book As You Wish chronicles the making of The Princess Bride. And joining us today is the author. Please welcome to AM Northwest, Dread Pirate Roberts, and Wesley himself, actor Cary Elwes.
Welcome. Nice to have you here.
Super great to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Have a seat.
Well, you had a big night last night. We here at Powell's.
Yes, Powell's, the wonderful bookstore. We had 2,000 people show up.
That is like the biggest crowd ever.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Inconceivable.
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 What did you think when you looked out and you saw all these people? Because you've been touring with this book now for a while.
I know. Honestly, we had no idea that many people. I mean, listen, Portland, you guys are extremely well read here. A very literate town. And so, yeah, no, we were overwhelmed by it. I have a minor carpal tunnel today, but it's the nicest carpal tunnel I think anyone could ever hope for, yeah.
This movie, what, 27 years ago, right?
Yes, sir.
And you look at that crowd last night, the impact, people, they loved that movie, and they loved the story, and they loved the book.
Yeah.
When did you get the idea for the book?
Well, about 2012, we had the 25th anniversary reunion, and they screened the film at the Lincoln Center in New York. And at the Q&A afterwards, we were all asked what was our favorite moment from making the film. And I couldn't really figure out a way to encapsulate one particular moment or one scene. For me, the whole journey of making the film was so much fun. So I wanted to share that with the fans, and that's why I wrote the book.
There are many great moments, including wrestling with Andre.
Yes.
That was incredible.
Yeah, the great Andre the Giant. We still miss him to this day. He was a real gentle giant. He would give you the shirt off his back. It would be enough for 5 people, but he'd still give it to you. And yeah, no, he was just a wonderful, wonderful guy. Very, very funny, very sweet. Always had a smile on his face. Yeah.
And was it because of him that you broke your toe early in the filming of this movie?
Yes, that was my own fault. That was a moment where my hubris exceeded my aptitude. You see, when we were shooting up there, that's the Peak District, and it's very well named because it's very hilly and very mountainous. And Andre couldn't fit in any regular car or van. So the production asked him how he got around on his farm in North Carolina, and he said, I use an ATV, boss. And so they found the only all-terrain vehicle in Great Britain at that time, and you can Google it. It's a little three-wheeler, a little red three-wheeler. It looked like a tricycle under him, you know. And you've never seen a giant move so fast, you know. This old 450 pounds, 7'5", zooming around on this thing. And he would come up to me on it, and he'd go, "You like my toy, boss?" He called everybody boss, which is hilarious. When, you know. And I go, "Yeah, that's very nice, Andre." And he goes, "It's a lot of fun. You want to try it?" And I said, "No, I don't think." And he would zoom off, zoom off. And second day, same thing. "Hey, boss." "Yes, Andre." "You like my toy?" I go, "It's marvelous." "You want to try it?" I go, "Nah, it's fine, really. It's totally cool." And he would zoom off again. This went on for 4 days. And finally, on the 4th day, I'll never forget, he zoomed up to me on this thing, and he goes, "You know you want to." Just like that. And, you know, it's a giant. You know, he's a giant.
Yeah, right.
I had to, so I went, "Okay, Andre, sure, why not?" And I was due to shoot the scene with Buttercup where we roll down the hill together. And so I got on this thing. I had no business being on it. And his bodyguard, like he needed
exactly.
This guy had the easiest job in the world.
Yeah.
His bodyguard comes up to me and goes, "Oh, it's very simple, Governor. It's just like a motorbike. You put your foot there, there's a clutch, brake, on-off switch, Bob's your uncle." That should have told me something.
Yeah.
So I got on this thing. I didn't go more than 2 feet, and I went over a rock and caught my left big toe between the clutch pedal and a rock, and it just snapped like that.
Oh.
And I thought,
Ow.
oh, great. That's good.
Yeah.
10 days into shooting, I haven't even shot the sword fight scene yet, and I broke my toe. So if you look at the film, you can see there's moments where we shot out a sequence, but you can see where I'm running. There's certain sequences where I'm a bit light in my step, going into the fire swamp and things like that.
Were you worried that you were, I understand at one point you were worried you were going to lose your job?
Well, you know, certainly you think an actor, you know, broke his toe before doing any stunts in the film 10 days into shooting. That definitely gave me pause for concern. But Rob was very sweet about it. You know, I went up to him and I said, look, I'm so sorry. I was fooling around on Andre's ATV. He goes, don't worry about it. Can you walk? I said, yeah. He goes, can you run? I said, well, it's going to be interesting. But luckily, it healed pretty well. We didn't have to shoot the sword fight scene for another 3 weeks. So
you had some time.
Yeah.
Billy Crystal, we looked
Yes.
at that clip of
Yes.
quotes there. To me, he was just
so
he
great.
brought so much comedy to that film. It had to be fun to work with.
He's wonderful. Billy is just a sweetheart and very funny as Miracle Max. And he arrived in early October, and he had about 8 hours of makeup to create this wonderful character of Miracle Max. And he said he wanted Max to look a cross between his grandmother and Casey Stengel, and, who's the Yankees manager, for those of you know. And he showed up on set totally in character. And I thought I had an easy day because my only scene with him, I'm lying on the slab in his hovel, and I don't have any, I think I just say true love when he pushes down on my chest. And I thought, what an easy day for me, right? And I'm lying there, and Rob Reiner, the director, comes over to me and he says, hey, Cary, we looked in the monitor and we can see your chest moving when you're breathing. You're going to have to hold your breath during the take. I said, well, how long, Rob? He goes, don't worry, we're not going to kill you. And then he walked over to Billy and he whispered something in his ear, and I didn't know what he whispered until later. And I found out later on he just walked up and he said, just go for it, like that. Not that Billy needed much goading, but he then launched into 3 hours of medieval Yiddish stand-up. and it was just crazy, and all the takes were ruined. And Rob Reiner has a very boisterous laugh, and so the sound department came over and banished him from the set. He had to, the director.
He's the director.
He's the director. He had to leave the set and direct the film from outside in the hallway. They set up the monitor for him out there, and of course, here am I trying to hold my breath, right? That's impossible when someone's doing stand-up in front of you, especially Billy Crystal. So they replaced me with my rubber mannequin dummy. So in all the wide shots, that's my rubber stand-in, if you go back and look at that. And Mandy Patinkin claims he bruised a rib trying to hold his laugh in. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't even know you could do that. But apparently you can. He said it's the only injury he got on the film, yeah.
We hear that the audio version of your book is #1.
It's doing very well, yes. I think it's up there somewhere. And yeah, we managed to get most of the cast to come and do it, which is wonderful.
It is, and within the book, too, other members of the cast, or Rob,
Yes.
you know, they write little snippets of their memories of certain scenes. That's a fun way to do a book.
Well, I'm so blessed that they all, to every single person involved, both in front of the film, in front of the camera and behind. That's my agent calling. Wondering why I'm not going to make my flight today. No, it's wonderful. It's like, I think it's a definitive book about the making of the film, because we managed to get all the actors involved, and Rob Reiner and the producers, and William Goldman, the author. So they all share their own little memories as well. And so it's a wonderful book in that sense. It's really...
Wallace Shawn stands out as just such a great character.
Yeah.
Tell us about working with him.
Wally, okay, so I only have one scene with, what's so great about this film, I have like one scene pretty much with all these wonderful actors, you know? And the scene I had with him is the Battle of Wits scene. It's the iocane powder scene. And I had very little dialogue again. He does most of the talking, you know, he talks about, you know, Socrates and Aristotle being morons. You know, it's hilarious. And I couldn't understand why he was sweating, because he's a very bright guy, Wally. He's an author and a playwright and a Fulbright scholar, and he lectures at Oxford and Harvard and places like that. And I thought, why is Wallace Shawn always the smartest guy in the room? Why is he sweating over this little scene, you know? And it turns out, I found out later on when we were writing the book and interviewing him, that he'd been told by his agent that Rob Reiner wanted Danny DeVito instead of him to play. I know, it's inconceivable. I have to say it again. And the poor guy actually thought he was going to be replaced by Danny DeVito. The entire show, he said that the ghost of Danny DeVito, there, you can see footage. Right now, while he's doing that dialogue, he's thinking, how would Danny DeVito say this line? And he was not only convinced that they wanted him, he was convinced that he was going to be replaced by Danny DeVito. And we kept trying to tell him, you're crazy. I didn't know at the time, but other actors who knew, they were like, you're crazy, Danny. I mean, you're crazy, Wally. You're wonderful in the role. And he was just convinced he was going to be sent home. It's just nuts.
When this movie came out, I mentioned earlier, my wife loved it. She was in love with you. And I got to tell you, I think every woman around the world was in love with you.
Oh,
and you made it very difficult for the rest of us men who were single. How did you manage all of that attention? Because, I mean, you must have known, right?
Well, you know, it was a wonderful delayed reaction. The film, when it opened, was not a huge success, or not as successful as we'd hoped it would be. And it wasn't about until 10 years later when the VHS market started taking off and folks started renting it and then buying it and then giving it as gifts to friends and family that the film found its audience. And I was in New York, I was in a restaurant ordering a hamburger or something, and the waitress asked me how I wanted it cooked, and I said medium rare, and she just went, "As you wish." And I said,
I'm sure you get a lot of that.
I said, "Excuse me?" And she goes, "You know." Like that. And that was the first time I'd ever heard those three words spoken to me before. It was wonderful and weird at the same time. So yes, we had this wonderful delayed reaction to the film, and now it's become this thing. And I think I can speak on behalf of everybody involved with the film when I say how blessed we feel that this film is now so beloved by so many people.
Well, and women love that kiss scene.
Yes.
I mean, and working with Robin Wright.
Oh, she's fabulous. We became very close. She's a good friend, and you know, we ruined a lot of those takes, giggling, because it's weird kissing your best friend. So we laughed a lot, and Rob was getting very upset. You see, we laughed every day, pretty much. It's just crazy. And Rob kept coming up to us in between takes going, "Guys, you're supposed to just kiss. What's with all the laughing?" So,
you know, the impact, look at, I mean, generations in our audience, there are people dressed up as your character. How does that make you feel?
This is Hudson, who we met earlier. Check him out. He's even got a mustache on. He got up at 5 to do this morning. I mean, he's been in hair and makeup, and he's extraordinary. Let's give a round of applause for Hudson.
There we go, Hudson.
You made special time to come in with us today.
Thank
we
you.
really appreciate that.
You're very sweet.
Cary Elwes, everyone.